And practically all acts of litigation that emanated from it, Nigeria can be said to have navigated a rather tricky phase in her journey to nationhood. Well, in the midst of the current economic challenges, however, that journey, which is now being piloted by a brand new president, has not been as certain as many sure-footed Nigerians would have liked it to be. One of those Nigerians is Chief Ayo Adebanjo, a man who has devoted more than 70 years of his life to the service of his motherland. We have spoken with him on many occasions, and he joins us one more time to discuss the state of the nation and how to chart a new path for Nigeria's development. Grateful to have you once more on Newsday. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Awa.
Adebanjo, good to hear your voice. Thanks for joining us again. There has been a lot that has happened since... A lot has happened since we last spoke to you. Of course, most of it taking place in the election petition tribunal courts. I want to get your opinion on how the courts and the judiciary have handled this back and forth that has had us watching the news and reading newspapers and shaking our heads as to exactly how our judiciary plans to make all of these judgments appease everyone.
Well, thank you very much. The whole thing is a sad story. And I, as somebody who has been following the issue before independence, I'm not a happy man at all. And it's unfortunate that the judiciary that should be a balm on our soul is making our story worse. You see, my own point of view right now, no matter what anybody is saying, the country needs to complete overhauling. You must change the constitution now and not wait for another election before you begin to talk about anything. Every evil we are talking of now is embedded on the imposed constitution by the military. And I say this, I want people who will doubt that to go and read the imposed constitution. Because I am, from experience and intercourse and conversation with these professors, they don't understand what is in the federal constitution before independence, which they are now comparing with this imposed one. Take, for instance, when you talk of security...
Allow me to apologize and interrupt you right now. We have to take a very short break. More when we return on Newsday. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Newsday. We do apologize for the long break in transmission. Now, as we said earlier, with the conclusion of the 2023 general election and practically all acts of litigations that emanated from it, Nigeria can be said to have navigated a rather tricky phase in her journey to nationhood. In the midst of the current economic challenges, however, that journey, which has now been piloted by a brand new president, has not been as certain and as sure-footed as many Nigerians would like it to be. Now, one of those Nigerians is Chief Ayo Adebanjo, a man who has devoted more than 70 years of his life to the service of his motherland. We have spoken with him on many occasions, and now he joins us one more time to discuss the state of the nation and how to chart a new path for Nigeria's development. Grateful to have you once more, Newsday. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, David.
Now, earlier we were asking you about how the judiciary has performed, in giving its judgment on the election disputes that came up after the elections. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, as I said earlier, if you are not going to deceive ourselves, if you are serious about charting a new path, the best thing for President Tinubu to do for us now, to leave his name in the letter of gold, is to take immediate steps to overhaul the Constitution by changing the Constitution now. And I tell you why. You are talking of the election result. You are talking of the INEC. You are talking of the police. You are talking of security. These are all byproducts of the Constitution imposed on us. And until you go back to a Constitution that will create a stable polity in the country, we can't get it right. I say we are going to be deceiving ourselves. Many of us are living in denial. The majority of the politicians now, all they are trying to do is how to stay in power. How to give the dividend of democracy to the people. They are not talking about it. So, by the time we take our problems one by one, they all go back to the evil of the Constitution. That's why I will appeal to President Tinubu to take immediate steps now. Particularly, he was a participant in the sending away of the military. He was in the Nadeco, asking us that the military should go. Why did they go? We want a civilian regime. Civilian regime where we have a constitution acceptable to every ethnic nationality in the country, which is not the position now. So each way you go, either economic, judicial, legislature, or executive, the question of ethnicity comes in. But people are not paying attention to that. If you talk of security, you talk of northern northeast, you talk of northwest, what do you find there? It's not a question of security. Where you have a policeman from Guru to come and take charge of a place in the southeast. It's not possible. You talk of devolution of power. You talk of the state police. You talk of revenue allocation. They are all products of this constitution imposed on us. So if we settle down and agree on all these issues, we won't even need to go to the judiciary. It is because the politics were not well settled that we take our problem to the judiciary. If the politics were well settled, INEC will do the proper thing. All the electoral law that were done there, it was done under this constitution. We would have perfected that under a new constitution. But many people don't look at it like that. A lot of people are talking of the way forward. They look forward to it when they will have an advantage on themselves. That will help us. If you think about the masses, about the people suffering, full employment, education, health, the infrastructure, all based on the Constitution. So, I think I can go on and on, because each time we talk of how do we move forward, we can't move forward that day with this awkward Constitution that we have been having, and everybody has seen to it that it doesn't work. It doesn't work. When it doesn't work, why do you continue to have it? After people rise, all progressive in the country have been talking about it. Let us sit down. Tinubu shouldn't waste time. This is an opportunity for him. You should think that you can get. I wouldn't wish him to have a missed opportunity. Because that is the mistake Obasanjo himself made. He had the first opportunity to change the constitution to an acceptable one where we get peace. We have a constitution where, for years, a section of the country is not represented in the highest judiciary of the country.
And
why is that? Because of the Constitution.
And that has been a very big discussion here. Changing of the Constitution and amending it in order to reflect the modern day times. But I wanted to ask you, sir, about the succession politics or godfatherism within our country and how to maybe try to navigate that, as this seems to be a very, very important issue. The statistics are saying that since 1999, less than 90% of governors have, more than 90% of the governors have installed their preferred predecessor, which has caused a situation, obviously, when there is a struggle for power, especially if the predecessor or the current installation does not toe the line of power of the former governor or former leader. How can this begin to get disrupted within our nation? Because it's clearly a real issue with governance when trickle-down politics are trickling down badly and no new ideas are allowed to permeate with new governments. What do you make of this?
So, and why that goes to what I've been saying. Unless we are living in denial, we all know our problem, only we lack the courage to solve it. What are we talking about? A constitution where the governor is a dictator in the state, where the president himself is a dictator. Under this constitution, our president is the most powerful president in the whole world. We have been talking about that. I don't want to be wasting my time about the details. And that goes to what's evil that we're having in the country. A constitution where the president can flout the judicial decision at will. You are living in this country where the judiciary will say, well, this is the rule. So no, I won't obey it. A constitution under which the president goes to the bar association of the country, saying the rule of law is subject to the rule of man before the bar association of the country. That is the problem. And there's nothing to do about it. A constitution that which an arm of the government can go and waylay the house of the Supreme Court judges. A constitution that which a participant in a game, in an election, will choose the referee. And all those who are going to participate have to get freedom. So I think that is what goes to all that. Don't let us close our eyes to all these things. This is what led to it. You say you want to have a free and fair election that is not going to the judiciary. And the man who is going to have this election is the man who is going to choose the referee. Even right now, when the term of some of the commissioners expire, Tinubu has already chosen another party man to be there. And you see that we all go well for the future. Let us face that. Don't let us pretend as if we don't know that's our problem. Our problem is that we refuse to acknowledge our problem and solve it. So, whatever you are talking about development and all that, you are just pretending. You are living denial. That is the root cause. Let us sit down and iron out these things which have been ironed out before independence until the military came to change the constitution for this fraudulent one. Let us face that. So if you sit down and agree, this constitution, this electoral law, that we are going to destroy the division of powers and all that, we will see it. All right, we will say we decide now that the judiciary is the last foot of the common man. And the common man now says the government offends him to do something, go to the judiciary. It's not sure of getting justice. And you want peace. A judiciary where a section of the country is bypassed on its own right. A country where you decide on the devolution of powers or the distribution of revenue on the basis of population, on a extent of land, on all sorts of innocuous sin that's not known anywhere in the world. It is this is our constitution. How can you stop the basis from projecting? They say they are the owner of the oil, and you take all the money there, take it to the north. You carry VAT from Lagos as the south, you take it to the north, and you say one piece. And I don't like to pretend. All these injustices must be ironed out so that we can have peace.
Now, Chief Adebanjo, while people like yourself, are campaigning for a new constitution, a lot of Nigerians are suffering due to the harsh economic realities of the country. I'm wondering what's your assessment of the performance of NLC, TUC, and other labor unions in defending the rights of Nigerian workers? How well have they defended the rights of Nigerian workers? What more should these groups do to ensure that the voices of Nigerian workers are heard in these difficult times?
My dear, all the Labour Party people, from what I have known in this country, even before Temitope and you yourself were born, the Labour leaders themselves play up to the government at times. When they are forceful, energetic, at a certain stage, the government get an inroad into them, and they sell out. If you see ASU striking at this point, at one day they say they suspend it, you see TUC striking at one point. Where do we go? Because the Constitution is fraudulent. And everybody is saying that they want to be the good books of the government of the day. If you see some of the people criticizing the government, they say, it's not good, but they say, but at least they are doing some good work. Which good work are they doing? You cannot get a good work when the ordinary man is suffering. You say that they are suffering. Here is a government that says he wants to change the fate of the common man. The common man can't get good rice to buy. They can't get good food to food. You are buying a car for an individual in the station for 168 million. And you see, you don't know what is your problem. And the president says they want to serve the people. He buys a yacht for 5 million. When the dollar is falling, everything is doing. How do you go from there?
Well,
and if they take you to court, you say, go to court.
Go to court.
You meet me there. And everybody has seen that. So, you see, I passed the age of anybody deceiving me. Beside myself and a few, all others, they criticize this government to make a place for themselves. If the government should win or should not lose, they don't want to be the backbone of the government. Right. None of them is shouting or fighting for the people.
Well, Pa Adebanjo, Pa Adebanjo, we hear you, and we know that you shout for the people, and we appreciate you for joining us today on Newsday, as always. Thank you so much for this interview.